Salute Knicks Nation. The streets are buzzing. Trade deadline is done and dusted. We're going to talk about it tonight. Reaction show coming at you. Salute to Knicks Nation. Get your comments, reactions in. We'll shout it out. I'm going to give you my thoughts on this non-eventful trade deadline for the New York Knicks, making one move. Jericho Sims, thank you for your service. Headed to Milwaukee, Brew City. Delon Wright coming back to the Mecca. Will he stay? Is he going to get waived? We'll talk about that tonight. What's next? Can the Knicks make another move? We'll look at the buyout market and see what Leon Rose might be cooking up. Of course, the 15th roster spot can be signed again on March 1st, so the Knicks will be looking to add another body at least. And of course, Mitchell Robinson set to return, putting a lot of faith in his return to this ball club as all eyes move now to the home stretch of this season as things are heating up. The NBA looks completely different. We'll go through our winners and losers, give you my thoughts on all of the moves as well as we get through it all. But salute to the chat. I see you, Knicks Nation. Underwhelmed, some people angry, some people, it depends on what your expectations were, fam. You know, we always say this. I always say, you know, it depends what you were expecting. We were all hoping to get back something better for Jericho Sims in that deal. You know, there was rumors about a second round picks. Obviously, we knew there were some teams desperate for a big man, Dallas, Lakers as well. They pivoted. That's just the nature of the business, guys, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm going to give you my breakdown on what I think of Delon Wright and whether he'll stay. Can he help this team? And what have his stats been this season with Milwaukee, right? But there's been some early talk since the deadline passed. Some reports coming out. Ian Begley speculating that, you know, the Knicks will be looking at TJ Warren as an option to sign as the 15th guy. Chuma Okeke has now been signed to a 10-day deal by the Philadelphia 76ers. So, yeah, you know, the Knicks could have missed out on that. You know, I really like Chuma Okeke as a defensive kind of guy, but if the Knicks do think Delon Wright, who is 6'5", can guard on the perimeter, is averaging over 1.2 steals per game in his career and led the league in deflections, was one of the leaders in deflections and steals going back 2 seasons ago, but he is 32 years old now. So, you know, not having a great season with Milwaukee, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, Johnny in the building, salute guys. How you feeling about it all? Obviously, my initial reaction is Mitchell Robinson is the big piece, you know, survives another trade deadline. Mitch is here, ready to go to war with these guys. He's got to get a practice in. But, you know, one could argue that, you know, he's one of the best players that any team's going to get if he's fully healthy in terms of impact, right, off this trade deadline. And I'm going to go through all the moves, man. There's been so many moves happen, right? But obviously the one that we get first and foremost, Jericho Sims headed to Milwaukee. We know that's no surprise. You know, I think the Knicks did him kind of a favor. You know, there is talk that the Knicks were looking at the Pelicans, Dallas, and Milwaukee, and we whittled it down to Milwaukee. I do think, given that, you know, Brook Lopez is very, you know, washed, not athletic, I do think we did send Jericho to the team that probably benefited the most from getting him, and dare I say, did Jericho more of a favor. The Knicks get back cash considerations, right? We find out that it was $2 million, which, you know, isn't going to help us on the cap sheet, but it will help James Dolan and the organization in terms of it's a significant amount of money. And I think, you know, they could even use that to buy a second round pick, you know, when the draft comes around. The Knicks do have 1 second round pick for this upcoming draft coming from the Memphis Grizzlies in the second round. So we do know the Knicks like to find those gems in the second round. But I'm not sweating this, you know, not getting a second round pick in that deal, because you can always buy second rounders as well, right? The big piece in that trade coming back is obviously Delon Wright and rights to European guard, 23-year-old Hugo Besson, the French guard who did play in Australia recently in the NBL. I do know a bit about him. He's 23. We don't know what the plans are for the future, but he is a player that has some promise, and the Knicks could use his rights down the line in a different trade. They could bring him into summer league as well. So that is a little cherry in that deal. Hugo Besson, cash, maybe buy a second round pick with that cash. But Delon Wright, what is up with him? 32 years of age. As I bring up his career numbers, for this season, specifically been very underwhelming for Milwaukee, but was quite productive as far as 2 seasons back. As I just look at the career numbers, guys, he's a defensive-minded combo guard, and Tom Thibodeau is obviously the coach here. I think Wright is a guy that, at the very least, if he does stick, I think he's going to, be someone that's going to push Campaign and Landry Shamet, and that's what we need. I think the Knicks had a couple of needs heading into this trade deadline. I think 3. Me personally, specifically, I think the Knicks had 3 needs. We needed another ball handler, because Cameron Payne can be erratic at times. Deuce McBride, we put a lot of, stress on his shoulders at times, to be a ball handler and create, when Brunson's off the floor as well. And we know Landry Shamet hasn't been able to hit a shot, hasn't been what we hoped. Played solid defense, but yeah, just can't create either. And so Delon Wright comes in. I think at the very least, he's going to be a guy to push those guys for minutes. He's a veteran. We know Tibbs likes that. But he does come with a defensive-minded game, averaging 1.2 steals per game throughout his career, right? And was one of the leaders in deflections over a couple of seasons back around the NBA. We'll take a look at those numbers in a minute. Averaging 3 assists, 3 rebounds, a 35% career shooter from distance, although having a very down year shooting-wise this season, but in limited opportunities for Milwaukee as well. So let's hope that these career numbers are more reflective on a player that, might be productive for us, might get waived. As I said, I'm not putting my stock in the Delon Wright basket right now, but he's here. I'm going to root for him. I've been underwhelmed with Landry so far, as most of us have. Cameron Payne as well, fam. And I do think there could be some really, sneaky good defensive lineups with, Delon Wright next to Deuce McBride. Right. Let's say Campaign continues to struggle. Landry Shamet struggles or gets cut. Tibbs needs options. Right now, he looks at the bench and there's, you look at Kolek, you look at Dardier, and a lot of fans want to see those guys get a chance. I wouldn't be against that. But based on what I've seen, the defense of Tyler Kolek has ways to go. And obviously, Pacome Dardier is more of the wing. But yeah, 3 needs. The Knicks had a ball handling need. They still have a need for a wing, a jumbo-sized defensive wing, or at least a wing that can be offensive-minded, create shots, hit shots. And I do think you see that in half silhouette. You see a guy there, TJ Warren, right? He's my early bet to get that 15th spot, and I'd be happy. I'd be happy with that, right? We'll see what happens with Delon Wright. But we're going to cover the Delon Wright thing right now, and then we're going to move towards some guys that are available, because the Knicks still might cut Delon Wright. The talk is from Stephen Bondy and the Knicks beat that they are planning to hold tight right now, see what he looks like in practice. We can always cut him. For those of you that don't know, the New York Knicks can whittle down their roster right up until the final week before the playoffs start, right? You don't have to settle your playoff roster until the week before the playoffs begin. So that's way down the line in April. Not saying the Knicks plan to do that, but there's options, However, if the Knicks do want to add someone before the final week, before the playoffs, that player, after the buyout market now is finished, that player can't have been in the NBA for the entire season. So we will be looking at guys that haven't played in the NBA, right? But the Knicks actions, as right now, there's guys on the market that have been waived. Al Tango's in the building. Richard at the Knicks Fix, buzzer beater. You guys are all buzzing right now. let's talk about it. Yeah, TJ Warren, he's not on the roster right now, Buzzer, so he's in ghost mode right now. But I do think TJ will come up, early hunch, 15th roster spot. The New York Knicks really admire what he's been able to do, stick around, be a mentor in the G League, have himself, an amazing stretch with the G League, playing really, really strong offensive basketball. He could be that shot creator that we need. 6'8", experienced. Um, but yeah, that's the lowdown in terms of Delon Wright, guys. I think he adds balance to the roster. I tweeted this out yesterday. Yeah, some people express their feelings. Some people are angry still, frustrated we couldn't get back a better piece. But my advice would be to, look at who we traded. Jericho Sims is arguably one of the lowest value players in the NBA, right? What are you expecting to get back? We're getting back a player that might see playing time, and we're trading out a player, Jericho Sims, who is not going to get playing time. So, as underwhelming as it is, and I agree, Delon Wright, we're hoping to get a better pickup. However, he is the guy that could factor in as a ball handler, right, to relieve the stress off JB. And the Knicks could have some nice combo lineups off the bench as well, right? I've been underwhelmed with Cameron Payne. He's a little undersized. When the shot's on, it's great, but creating and playing under control is not what Cam Payne's best at. Especially the last kind of few games, the shot selection's been atrocious, right? So if Delon Wright can hit a few shots, play better defense, right, he could win Tom Thibodeau over. For me, and in terms of, his career numbers, 35% from distance. Now, we move back over to the reactions from the beat. Christian Winfield has a nice article with the Daily News. Wright's been among the league leaders in deflections each year as well. So that just looks into, he's a defensive-minded combo guard. He's got a 6'8" wingspan and 6'5", so he can technically guard, I think, 1, 2, 3, 1 through 3. He's known for getting into passing lanes. He's a passing lane king. And plays good on-ball defense. If he has some gas left in the tank, we'll see how it plays out, fam. Felicia Lee's in the building. I see you guys. I'll get to your questions in a minute and your reactions. But as Marshall Green tweets out here, Delon Wright was a Knick killer. So he was a classic random guy that used to go off on the Knicks. In his 19 games versus the New York Knicks throughout his entire career, he shot 52% from 3, and his career is 35. So, yeah, one of those guys, fam, that gets after it, especially when he plays the New York Knicks. Now, obviously, TJ Warren is my favorite to come up as the 15th guy, but we have to wait till March 1st, right? If we don't cut Delon Wright or Landry Shamet now, we can add someone now if we do. But Mitchell Robinson survives another trade deadline, and he is ramping up his work to get back onto the court to rep the New York Knicks. And man, what a boost it's going to be to see Mitch back. And I don't think he's going to start. I do think Mitch will be a guy to come off the bench together with Precious Achiuwa when OG's healthy. But obviously, basically, the young fella, Ariel Huckamania Huckporty, is going to be that guy to assume the situational big role until after Mitch gets back. But until right now, Mitch might not be back for a couple of weeks. So Ariel Huckporty, I think, will continue to get minutes now that Jericho Sims is not here. Ariel Huckporty is going to continue to step up and make a name for himself like he has been recently. Impressing some people with his defense. Can he stay out of foul trouble? Can he take this opportunity? I think he can. I think he can. And obviously Mitch, we know, is coming back off a long, long layoff. And I do think all of our guys are going to be needed, fam. Stay ready when your number is called, fam. Yeah, I've talked about it. Those that are just joining in, Ekim Joe, Al Tango. I talked about Chuma Okeke. was taken by the Sixers. Yeah, fair enough. The guy waited around long enough. He waited for us. We didn't act. He's played well with the G League. However, I'll tell you guys, things are very, very fluid, around the league. Guys are going to get cut still. Just chill for a bit. The next week or two, there's going to be a lot of movement. Guys get waived, guys get cut. There's guys got cut today. Obviously, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But Okeke's only signed a 10-day deal, a 10-day contract. So we've seen this before. Philly could look at him and not like what they see, and they could cut him. We might have another chance to get Chuma Okeke. But yeah, I like him, Felicia. I think he deserved a shot. But yeah, I do think the Knicks' other need is a scorer. I do think TJ Warren would be the favorite. We are a veteran team. We are lacking some scoring off the bench. As much as Okeke would bring some size and defense, I do think we need more shot making. What happens if Deuce doesn't hit shots and he's cold one night? Campaign's cold. Shamet's staying cold. Delon Wright's not really a offensive minded guy. Yeah, we're kind of stuck. So I think TJ Warren's the guy for me to bring up, guys. Let us know your thoughts. Neymar says, I like this trade. Yeah, I graded a B minus to begin with. And so I think it's fluid. I think it could end up being a B plus if he sticks around and has something left in the tank. But I do think Delon Wright gives this team some balance because we had too many bigs. If you factor in Mitch returning, Precious, Cat, Huck Porty, and Sims, that's a log jam. And so basically we eliminate one big that's not going to see any time, and we add a combo guard at 6'5" that could see time. I won't mind if he doesn't see time. It just balances the roster out more. And like I said, there's a lot on the shoulders of Campaign, Deuce, and Shamet. And so far, I think the roster was a little imbalanced. Now it kind of evens up a bit. We've got plenty of guards. We need another wing, no doubt about it. And obviously Mitchell Robinson returns. I think we're okay with the big man spot. But we've got to look at some bigs available. Daniel Tice is one of those guys. But yeah, Mitch is the headline. He's the headline acquisition. We're going to look at these moves around the league. Buzzer Beater says, I thought he was that guy that used to burn us. Yeah, absolutely. 52% from three. Tom Thibodeau's scheme, letting shooters get hot. What's up, AP? Great to see you guys. We're reacting to this quiet trade deadline, but the Knicks will make some moves, They have to make another move in terms of filling out the 15th spot. And let's look at these buyout guys. Felicia Lee says, CT, my biggest problem with this trade is I don't like helping an opponent in the East get better. Send him out west for such a small return. That's a great point. I do think the Knicks, they do tend to try to help their client a lot more and, be kind to the departing player. Remember, we did send RJ Barrett to his hometown. We did send Quentin Grimes to a young rebuilding team in Detroit to give him a chance. Yeah, we do try to do our guys a bit of a favor, and I do think there was probably a better deal on the table. Not that I've heard any reporting, but I'm sure Dallas would have given us a second rounder, man. I'm sure that the Pelicans would have given the New York Knicks a second round pick. And so, but yeah, we don't know. Maybe they did like Delon Wright as an option. Yeah, I hear your point, fam. I would have preferred to send him out to New Orleans to try to get Javonte Green. AP says they did absolutely nothing. So yeah, I knew you'd be frustrated. Yeah, I didn't expect us to get a lot back for Jericho Sims. But yeah, Mitch is the real addition. Obviously, if he was healthy before the trade deadline, with all this activity going on, Mark Williams from Charlotte headed out to LA. I think we would have got in on that deal. There is talk that LA was really interested in Mitchell Robinson, but teams just haven't seen him back fully healthy yet. And so it was hard to sort of get get a read on the best level of value that the Knicks could have got. But we really like Mitchell Robinson. We know how much he can help us, you know, as we see some of the new players, new pieces around the league, man. If you had knocked me over the head a week ago and I just woke up, I'd be like, where am I living right now? Right, where am I? I mean, what's the craziest move for you guys? Let us know in the chat. I'll shout it out. Yeah, some sneaky underrated moves late. Marcus Smart. I told you guys that Marcus Smart was going to get moved. I talked about it for weeks. The Knicks had interest in Marcus in the summer, in the preseason. Unfortunately, we just didn't have the salaries to move. I really think we would have got in on the Marcus Smart move if we had maybe had, if they had interest in a healthy Mitch to move that salary. But Dalton Connect, I would have loved to try to get him if Mitch did go to the Lakers. DeAndre Hunter going to the Cavs, I think that was crazy. Brandon Ingram, we kind of knew that he was going to get moved as well, right? We're going to summarize all the moves later, but for now, it's all eyes looking ahead for our New York Knicks. Here are some potential buyout guys right now. But before we dive into that, we've got a super chat from the one, the only Michael Parker. Salute. Great to see you, Michael, in the building. Appreciate you for the contributions. Let's go, Knicks. Michael says, call me crazy, but I would definitely take Ben Simmons after he's bought out. I still believe in his talents. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I definitely understand where you're going with this, Michael. I think Ben Simmons on a free buyout would have been basically a free ticket to give that a chance, and I would have been inclined to give that a chance as well if he is bought out. However, unfortunately, due to the CBA restrictions, the New York Knicks wouldn't be eligible to sign him on a buyout due to his $40 million salary. So the New York Knicks will only be able to sign a buyout guy if their salary was below $12 million. So yeah, I do think there's going to be a lot of teams feast on the Ben Simmons buyouts sweepstakes, but there is going to be plenty of other guys, and we're about to talk about those guys right now. But yeah, I do question Ben Simmons' hunger. The tools are there, but yeah, he could definitely help a team. Buzzer Beater says Jonas Valanciunas is gone as well. Yeah, there was a lot of talk associating him to the New York Knicks. However, he doesn't play defense. A lot of Knicks fans were skeptic about that. So you guys were right. Anyone that was skeptic about the Jonas Valanciunas, buzz to the Knicks, within reason, you guys were right on that one. So I tip my cap to you guys. Felicia's saying that Daniel Tice has gone to OKC now. Yeah, there is reports that he plans to get bought out though. We'll see what happens. We'll update you live as we're buzzing right now. But yeah, any of these names you like. Hey, Seth Curry. I know if Delon Wright, isn't a guy that sticks, I would happily swap him for Seth Curry. Cam Reddish, theoretically would help us, but we know that he had his, moments with Tom Thibodeau. I don't see that being a reunion. Josh Richardson has been bought out. A little washed. I think he's probably more washed than Delon Wright. So it's a pass for me. Jaden Springer, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind. I think he got some action recently playing in a game with the Boston Celtics. I think Yossi Gosling made an error here. I do think Patty Mills is still with the Clippers, so I don't think he's available just yet. But Daniel Tice, looks like PJ Tucker is going to get bought out. We'll see if that is an option. Reggie Jackson, he's washed. I'm not a fan of Reggie Jackson right now. I've watched him a little recently. Johnny Davis, 6'4", a little undersized as well. I'll probably stick with Delon Wright. And Jalen Hood-Schifino. Jalen Hood-Schifino is set to get cut as a part of that trade. Obviously, he was a part of the Luka Doncic trade as well. And Yossi says here, I forgot about Torrey Craig, Chris Duarte. I would happily swap Delon Wright for either of those guys, but I do think TJ Warren could probably, would be an upgrade over Chris Duarte, but Torrey Craig would definitely be an upgrade over Delon Wright. So that's my thinking there, guys. I would swap Delon Wright for Torrey Craig in a heartbeat, but I would probably pass on Chris Duarte because I do think TJ Warren might be that guy that we are looking at. He's 6'8", and he's more dynamic than Chris Duarte. So those are some buyout guys potentially. But I mentioned the balance. Delon Wright, plays defense, and TJ Warren plays offense. So that could be our plan. I would not be surprised. For anyone just joining us right now, salute to you. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We mentioned Chuma Okeke is off to Philly now, but it's just a 10-day deal. So we'll wait to find out if he ends up sticking, but I think he's going to help Philly. Like Felicia said, man, I hate to see a conference rival steal one from up under us, and I do think Chuma Okeke could stick with Philadelphia, right? They are needing some toughness, Eric Gordon's aging. They've got Martin, which they traded. There's been a lot of moves, right? And we've got a super chat come in from Buzzer Beater asking us, CT, who were you surprised didn't get moved? Great question, man. I think with all this activity, it's kind of like who didn't get moved. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant didn't get moved, fam. Reporting very, very late in the deadline that Minnesota Timberwolves came in late to try to steal Kevin Durant. Man, wishful thinking. So yeah, I'm going to go with Kevin Durant, Buzzer. I really felt like Kevin Durant was going to get moved, fam. I thought we're on the verge of seeing another crazy big three get formed. Knicks Real Talk, Divine, Sharp Hours in the house. Salute to you guys. Great to see you, fam. Like and subscribe to Knicks Real Talk. If you're a Knicks diehard, man, you get amazing content with Knicks Real Talk. Keeping it in the house. Salute. But yeah, great question, Buzzer. Let us know who were you surprised with, didn't get moved. Man, there was some speculation whether or not Quickly or RJ could have got moved. When the news came out that BI was going to the Six, but it ends up being that they ended up getting Brandon Ingram pretty cheap, man. That's one of my favorite moves of the deadline. I'll tell you right now, Brandon Ingram to Toronto to pair up with RJ and Scotty Barnes. That's a big win considering they only gave up Bruce Brown, who was on a crazy salary, and they wanted to get off of him anyway. They ended up trading away Kelly Olynyk, who's a hometown hero, 32 years old. Fans feel for him because he wanted to retire in Toronto, but he gets moved out to the Pelicans. That they might buy him out. To get Brandon Ingram for that and scraps and whatever else it was, a pick. I think it was a first round pick. Yeah, that's a really, really buy low, a swing. I really like that move, Buzzer. So that's one of my favorite moves. And the Kevin Durant move not happening was, I think that kind of saved my sanity, to be honest. If Kevin Durant got moved to another team that made that team stronger, this season's already crazy, man, as it is, right? So just to tie a bow on the Delon Wright deal, and I like the move, Divine. Yeah, Divine likes the move as well. I'll talk about that in a sec. But yeah, the Knicks end up getting $2 million. And I know some people were like, man, why didn't we get a second round pick for Jericho Sims? Well, the Knicks got a player that could help. They got $2 million, which they could use to buy a second round pick. And we got some draft rights to the 23-year-old European guard, Hugo Besson, which is going to give the Knicks an asset that they can chuck into a trade later as well. So maybe the Knicks looked at that Milwaukee trade. They're like, yep, we'll do that. That ticks all the boxes. We get cash. Cash is always good, man. Who doesn't like cash? You get a guard that Tibbs might want. and you get a European draft rights player, which we'll talk about in a future show. He's got some potential. He's 23 years old. Hugo Besson, the French guard. There's a lot of French guards coming up right now. But yeah, if you just want to talk about Delon Wright as being a guy that you're not high on, I understand. He's 32 now, but there is some guys that the New York Knicks won't be able to sign if they're bought out. Malcolm Brogdon, Bruce Brown, Ben Simmons, and our old friend Bogey, because those guys earn over the 12.8 million, right? But everyone else we can. So that is the update on that one, fam. But Moses Brown is another guy we might be looking at. If we do cut Matt Ryan off the two-way deal, this is something that I would look at heavily. Moses Brown been putting up numbers, 16 points, 15 rebounds, a block, shooting 60% from the field. G League Player of the Month, our Westchester Knick, Moses Brown. So, yeah, I won't be surprised if a team gives him a 10-day, fam. The New York Knicks might need to act quickly, but we do obviously have Huckamania, Ariel Huckporty as that guy, so the Knicks might consider themselves in a good position. Now, this did get me excited for a minute because up until an hour before the trade deadline finished, a big report came out of Chicago that the Knicks had been talking to the Bulls about some of the Bulls' backcourt players, right? So that wasn't Lonzo Ball, because Lonzo had already signed a 2-year extension. But looking at guys like Colby White, looking at guys like Ayo Dosunmu, Dalen Terry. I was looking at those guys because I like Dosunmu, I like Dalen Terry. Those guys can guard wings, they can handle. But unfortunately, man, nothing materialized. So do Chicago start to buy out more guys? Let's hope. Because, Torrey Craig is obviously one of the big names to watch with the buyout market. Buzzer says Johnny Davis got drafted by the Wizards and he's already bought out. Yeah, he struggled. He struggled, fam. Also, Johnny makes the great point. One of the moves that I really, really hated to see in terms of they got really, really good value was the DeAndre Hunter move. Johnny, DeAndre Hunter going to Cleveland, man. I mean, that was crazy. What are Atlanta doing? I mean, I know that are they going cheap, but to get back Karis LeVert for DeAndre Hunter, I mean, DeAndre Hunter is the clear upgrade for me. So I didn't like to see that, man. Cleveland are going to be tough to beat. I'm not going to lie. I still like our chances, obviously, but DeAndre Hunter off their bench makes them strong, definitely. How is the game of Hugo Besson? Asked Johnny. Is he the new Rokas? Yeah, so the New York Knicks, shout out to their draft scouts. They do travel the globe. The New York Knicks have a group of the most amazing draft scouts. We've seen it before with Deuce McBride, second round, Mitch, Ariel Huckporty most recently, Kevin McCullough, Tyler Kolek. And the New York Knicks have been watching Hugo Besson. They know about him. He's played in the same league as, Ariel Huckporty. He's played in the NBL down in my neighborhood. He's 23. He's 6'4", so he's the same height as like your Campaigns. A little taller than Campaign, a little less offensive minded, but he's a nice combo guard. He can shoot the 3 ball. He's a steady European kind of point guard. Not athletic, but again, if we don't even like his game, he could just be a draft rights kind of stash that we trade, in a future deal. Knicks Real Talk likes the right move, Tibbs type guy. Yeah, Divine, I think it adds balance to the roster, When you look at a guy like Jericho departing, I think Huckporty is the next man up. Mitch obviously is back now as well. And you relieve some pressure off JB. Because I've been telling you guys for a minute, come playoff time, they are going to double the heck out of Jalen Brunson, right? We needed more guys to be able to handle and make plays, right? The blueprint to beat the Knicks is to get the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hand. That is going to be number one on the scouting report come playoff time, fam. And we have to have options. Do you trust Cameron Payne in a pinch? Right, the jury is still out. It's been a mixed bag. There's been some great things. There's been not so great, but I feel like it's a mixed bag with Cameron Payne. Having another option doesn't hurt, and that's why I said at the top of the show, the Knicks have 3 needs. The first need was obviously the big. Mitchell Robinson is back, so that's the route that the Knicks are going. They decided not to make a trade. The second biggest need was a wing. Obviously, we haven't addressed that, so I get that that's a little frustrating. But the third need, in my opinion, was another ball handler, a playmaker. Josh Hart, is needed to make plays, but obviously in the backcourt, Payne, Deuce, and Shamet, and yeah, Delon Wright adds another option. Fam, averages 3 assists. Buzzer says the Zion, Randall, KD, CP3 were surprises that didn't get moved. I like that, man. Yeah, some of those were surprising. I agree. Randall, not as surprising, but I do think that he might be a summertime move. He might be looking to pick up that option. Yeah, KD. Yeah, the talk came out that CP3 is happy to stay, and they're looking to start him next to Fox. But I don't know about that, man. That could be defensively. That could be a worry defensively, man. CP3 next to Fox. Yeah, Zion. We wait to see, man. A lot of these moves could be hitting in the summer as well. Shokan in the building says Nikola Vucevic not getting traded was a surprise as well. Absolutely nice one. Man, that guy's surviving a lot of deadlines, fam. I thought the Warriors were surely going to get him. But yeah, they obviously made room for Jimmy. That was one of the most surprising moves to me as well. The Warriors getting in on Jimmy was kind of crazy. Yeah, so CP3 won't get bought out. Agree with Almighty Finesse on this one. I wanted Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, Dalen Terry, but we might have to settle for Torrey Craig. He's still out there. Before I get to the next comment, so going back last 2 seasons back, 2023, the top 10 perimeter players, defensive playmaking. Look at Delon Wright coming in at number 2, next to Alex Caruso. Matisse Thybulle, defensive player. DeAnthony Melton, Herb Jones, Suggs, OG. So yeah, didn't get many opportunities this season. Looks like his offensive game has really regressed, but I think defensively, Delon Wright could still be a insurance policy at best. We'll see how that plays out, guys. But yeah, get to the next comment. But yeah, the buyout guy's available. I would look at Seth Curry. We'll see how that plays out. I like Jaden Springer. Josh Richardson is a veteran. He's got length. Tibbs might be a fan of him. I'm not a big fan of Reggie Jackson. I think he's regressed a lot. But PJ Tucker would be a guy. Interesting to see if we do go for another big. There has to be some level of concern still with Mitchell Robinson. I think I was looking at Ian Begley's latest episode today. There is still some level of concern. However, they are really backing Mitch to come back and really, make a big impact. So we might just be, sitting tight for that. Obviously, Huck Pority is showing us something as well. Shez V in the house, salute. And Miami fans must be bugging right now. Wiggins. Yeah, I did think Miami was one of the losers of the trade. Just because they're not getting back all of those pieces. Schroeder didn't even go to Miami, so they do get basically Wiggins. I think PJ Tucker as well, but he's going to get bought out. I think one leg of that trade fell through. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Building blocks, salute. I think DeAndre Hunter is going to start in Cleveland. Yeah, it's an upgrade over Karis LeVert, and yeah, he's definitely a guy that should start. I think who would move to the bench? Maybe Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade. I think Dean Wade probably goes back to their bench. But yeah, if you're just joining us, one of my aims for the Knicks is to hopefully get TJ Warren, because I do think we need some more offense off of our bench. What do you guys think? Who's going to be your dream buyout guy? Well, we could make two moves. We could cut Delon Wright and make a signing for Torrey Craig. And then when March 1st hits, we can sign TJ Warren, right? Some offense and some defense. What do you guys think about that? Give us a thumbs up. Kelly Olynyk, yeah, if he gets bought out, we absolutely should be in on him if he gets bought out. Now, yeah, he might express to his agent and the Pelicans that he doesn't want to stick around. He's 32. Like I said, that's probably the hard luck story of the trade deadline, because he's a Toronto native and he was hoping to retire out there. But yeah, it's a cruel business sometimes. Yeah, one of the sneaky best pickups was DeAndre Hunter, I think. Yeah, Divine's 100% right on this one. Cam Johnson not getting moved was kind of crazy as well. Even D'Lo Russell. I was talking to one of my friends who's in New York and watches the league a lot, watches the Brooklyn Nets. They're kind of messing up their tank. The Brooklyn Nets are a pretty bad team, but they're winning too many games if they're really trying to go in on the tank. Cam Johnson, Cam Thomas, D'Lo Russell, Nick Claxton. They've got a good coach as well. I think they're starting to win too many games, and I did think Cam Johnson or D'Lo or Cam Thomas was going to get cut. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised with that one. So yeah, the New York Knicks can cut Delon Wright, and we can be below the 14 roster spots for 2 weeks, like you guys said. What's up, old head? Salute CT. Can't believe that the Hawks traded Hunter to the Cavs. Shake my head. Where does that tell you what the Hawks are thinking right now? They are acting like the facilitators in this. So I think they could be, they could be going south, the Hawks, in terms of purposely. There's talk that Trae Young is starting to get real frustrated out there. So I think we're going to see wholesale changes in the ATL come the summertime, fam. I do think Trae Young is fed up. He wants to win. The Hawks are starting to help other teams now. David says, I got my popcorn ready for the first Jimmy and Dre disagreement. You and me both, all of us. I think Steve Kerr came out of the locker room with his head down when he found out about that deal. So yeah, we look at our depth chart a little bit as we continue to shout you guys out. We got a comment from Al Tango. A question: what have you heard about Kevin McCullough, fam? Great timing, Al Tango. Let me just pull this up because I believe that the Westchester Knicks are playing tonight or played today. So I'm just going to bring up the score. So basically, Kevin McCullough has been playing G League action, and I do think they played today. And they play again tomorrow, fam. So, yep, 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Eastern. Westchester play tomorrow, and I do think that they play tonight as well. Let me just peep this latest. Because, yeah, Kevin McCullough is a guy that's starting to get healthy. So he could be a factor as well in terms of the Knicks pulling the trigger on a move for a wing. He had 10 points, 1 steal, 1 assist on 4 of 9 shooting in his debut with the G League squad. So had some nice defensive plays. Defensive-minded guy. So yeah, El Tango, I do think a guy like Kevin McCullough could be a factor later in the season. I do think he would be ahead of Pacome Dardier if I just had to make a guess in terms of the eyes of Tom Thibodeau. He's older, he's more experienced in the college, in his college career, and he's a defensive-minded player. So I do think that Tibbs would like Kevin McCullough, give him a shot. So it doesn't look like they played today. Looks like it is tomorrow. But let me just bring up the Westchester Knicks account just to confirm. Chimera Okeke, I'm happy for the man. He gets an opportunity now. You have to act quick in this business, otherwise, you're going to miss out. So yeah, the Westchester Knicks play tomorrow night, fam. Tomorrow night and Saturday night, as I bring this up. So yeah, get your popcorn ready, fam. You guys can watch the Westchester Knicks for free on the YouTube channel. The G League YouTube channel shows all of the games for free. So yeah, tune in. I know I will be if you want to see Kevin McCullough tomorrow. Yeah, Felicia likes Torrey Craig. Sandman definitely likes Torrey Craig. I agree. He's the guy you got to get up, I think. I would cut Delon Wright, get Torrey Craig. But just hold tight, because the Knicks are saying that, or basically the Knicks beat is saying that Delon Wright is staying for now. To me, that tells me that the Knicks are basically just holding pat, just to see if someone else comes loose. Maybe they can make an agreement. We need a knockdown shooter as well. Seth Curry would be serious, I think, off our bench, right? We don't need players to come in basically like Landry Shamet campaign. They're streaky. We need proper, knockdown shooters or a proper lockdown defender. I like Kelly Olynyk as well. Yeah, not great defensively, but yeah, he would be a stretch 4 or 5. John says TJ Warren would be great. We should waive Matt Ryan and try to keep Donovan Williams on a 2-year deal. Yeah, I like him. There's going to be a lot more movement, I mean, like Buzzer said before, Johnny Davis got bought out. He was drafted just a few years back. Chris Duarte now is on his 4th team, 5th team, bought out. So that's crazy. But yeah, I'm waiting for some reporting to confirm whether the Knicks really like Delon Wright, whether they targeted him specifically, because that'll tell us whether or not the plan is to keep him or not. If I had to make a guess, as I said earlier in tonight's show, I think we're looking to help out Jericho Sims and send him to a team that needed him the most. But obviously we got back some things that we felt were adequate. Cash, the rights to a young player overseas, and a veteran that can come in. He's played with OG Anunoby, with the Raptors in the locker room. He's played with JB, with Brunson in Dallas. Maybe Leon Rose turned to those guys for their advice. Maybe some intel. So yeah, I think the Knicks like to keep these vibes tight in the locker room. And if there's a guy that played with JB and a guy that played with OG, that could have been the decisive factor in that. Almighty says, yeah, good for the Nets. Let them miss their tank. Yep. And yeah, Sandman, DeAndre Hunter would have been amazing. I do think if Mitch was healthy, would have given the Knicks a lot more conversations to be had. We just didn't have the salaries. And I do think not trading Precious Achua, our guy Chewy, was a smart move because he's starting to play. He's starting to really lock in. He's Chewy, so that's going to be interesting, fam. As we continue to shout you guys out, we're reacting to the Knicks' quiet trade deadline, but there's some moves to still come, right? The Knicks have to add, the Knicks have to decide what they're doing with Delon Wright, and they can add a 15th spot before the playoffs begin, right? Obviously, and we continue to monitor the buyout market and see what else is out there, right? Delon Wright's been a Knicks killer. Maybe he feels comfortable at MSG. um, For you international heads as well, Nick diehards, right? I just found this out, man, just about an hour ago. But for the first time in history, an NBA exhibition game is going to be coming to Australia, my home city, Melbourne, Australia. It's going to be an exhibition game, October 2025. So just before next season commences, there's going to be some exhibition games from the NBA coming to my city in Australia. So obviously, I'm stoked. I'm happy about this news. Um, the NBA will announce which team it's going to be. It hasn't been decided yet. So it could be the New York Knicks. I doubt it. Obviously, it could be any other team, but an undisclosed NBA team is coming down under to play exhibition basketball against some NBL teams. There's going to be 2 games, and it's going to be, I think, preseason right before the season begins. So you heard it here first. An NBA team is going to be coming down. We'll find out more news. Yeah, it's obviously going to be exciting. If the New York Knicks come to my home city, I mean, you already know things are going to be buzzing. I'll definitely be getting media accreditation. Buzzer asks, CT, what are the odds of Shamit getting bought out? I haven't heard anything. It's purely speculation, but I would say that there's a real chance. I would say it's probably maybe a 30-70, a 30% chance he gets bought out. I do know the Knicks really like him. Tibbs is a fan of his work ethic. I think we can't question his aptitude. It's just he can't hit shots, and so, how ruthless did the Knicks get? I mean, I would be ruthless, me personally. I would say thank you, Landry, but we're moving in another direction. Um, you know, Stick around. You might pick up a 10-day from another team. But yeah, we've been loyal to Landry. We've given him a chance. Don't forget, we drafted him with the G League to let him rehabilitate. We gave him another lifeline to bring him up to a roster spot, and there's no more loyalty that needs to be repaid. I think we need to be ruthless. Johnny says Nick should shed some shooters, Matt Ryan and Landry, and add Moses. Yep, I think that's a good move as well. AP, yeah, why does everyone sign our G League players except us? I think it's about Tibbs. I think Tibbs, Leon, and I think where the locker room is headed. I think veterans. I think they do favor veterans right now. I'm not going to lie. Dardier's not getting any playing time. Kolek can't see any playing time. I think the Knicks know that those are the guys with the G League that next season expect to have a big season coming up. We'll see what happens with those guys, but I think we'll be looking at veterans. Like Building Block says, if Torrey Craig is still good, then why is Chicago getting rid of him? I think it comes down to maybe doing an agent a favor or playing time. It could come down to prioritizing some of their younger guys, Dalen Terry and Desunmu. Yeah, sometimes it's just musical chairs. Some player just gets left without a chair, man, without a seat at the table. Yeah, moving some things around. Yeah, Divine. Yeah, Knicks global brand. I do think probably a team that has some Australian players on it will probably come down. Maybe Dyson Daniels and the Hawks. It might be Chicago, Josh Giddey. Um, it's going to be interesting. Definitely, I think the NBA, as you guys know from this season's reporting, they're looking to make a European league. I think I won't be surprised, man. Also, I just found out today as well that the LA Rams, the first ever official regular season NFL game, is coming to my city as well. So I'm kind of getting some good news out here. I'm not a Rams fan, of course. I'm a Giants fan, Big Blue, but the LA Rams are coming down. The first ever official NFL regular season game to be played overseas, fam, is coming to my city as well. So, man, if the Giants come down, that'll be crazy as well. There's a lot of money in this, I think. Jackson says I'm not happy with the trades right now. I think it's underwhelming. I do think the Knicks were hoping to be more active, but let's see what happens in the buyout market. Maybe we're just putting our stock in that. There is some solid veterans getting cut. Um, I'm going to bring this up now. Keith Smith of Spotrac has got all the best buyout guys available, uh, or potential buyout candidates. Fam. Okay, let me get this one back up again. Big up to everyone in the chat, everyone listening, replay squad. Salute, smash that like button. Marvin Bagley, right, he's earning 12.5. If he gets bought out, the Knicks can sign him, I believe. It's below the 12.8. Old friend Bogey, we can't sign him if he gets bought out. Malcolm Brogdon, we can't sign him, unfortunately. Bruce Brown. But Seth Curry, yes. Reggie Jackson. Trey Jones. Vasilija Misic out here with the Suns. Monte Morris. He could be worth a look. We talked about Cam Reddish. And obviously Delon Wright is still a buyout candidate. And Lonnie Walker. He's a guy I think we definitely should be looking at. Fam, what do you guys think about Lonnie Walker? Old head, yeah, power forward is an issue, but I do think, based on what we saw last game, fam, I do think that they like the looks of Ariel Hukporti together with Cat, or they like Precious with Cat, and off the bench, Mitch can play with Precious, so that could be an option. Does a guy like TJ Warren get brought up? He can play power forward. He's 6'8". I think a guy like Jake Toppin. Jake Toppin's a break glass in case of emergency kind of option. He could play power forward as well. So yeah, a little thin, but I don't think we're in a bad situation with the power forward spot if Hukporti can factor in. Yeah, NBA musical chairs. Salute Will in the building. Will says successful trade deadline to me. We've done how many blockbusters the last 14 months? Options were limited right now. Yeah, Will, I think it was an outlier, this trade deadline. Basically, guys, around the league, it got crazy. But I do think traditionally the summer is the time to make these blockbusters. And I mean, make no mistake, man. Kevin Durant is a serious trade option in the summer, right? Right. I'm talking about OG Anunoby could get moved if Kevin Durant is available. Right. You have to explore that. Other names could get moved in the summer as well. Giannis Antetokounmpo might get fed up. The Bucks. It's a tall task for the Bucks to make noise. They've got Jericho Sims. What's that going to do for them? You know, they did bring in Kyle Kuzma for Chris Middleton, man. That could be the changing of the guard, and that could piss off Giannis, you know. I think this is going to carry over to what's going to be a crazy summer, in my opinion, fam. Phoenix, there's some upheaval right now. Talk about toxicity in their locker room. Devin Booker could be that guy. So yeah, I think Leon Rose, you know, he could be holding on to some of these extra assets and see what shakes out in the summertime, fam. Because when the summer hits after the new CBA, the new calendar year comes in July, the New York Knicks will be able to trade another first round pick. You know, the further along the line you get another first round pick that you can trade, right? Also, a part of me feels like the front office wants to evaluate, right? Let this team, as currently constructed, go through a playoff battle, right? Without making any major shakeup. Let this squad go through a playoff battle and see where we fit, you know, see where we stack up. You know, maybe we're surprised, maybe we're underwhelmed, but let these guys go through a playoff battle and make some moves in the summer. You know, everyone's trying to make moves right now. Some of these teams, I think they're delusional. I think some of these teams aren't really contenders, but they just want to try to, you know, they just want to try to keep up. You know, like the Bucks. You know, Kyle Kuzma. I mean, he's younger than Chris Middleton, but that's kind of a backwards or sideways step. You know, the Grizzlies traded Marcus Smart. Miami, they're not a contender anymore, fam. Jimmy Butler, that era is finished. Golden State, they're definitely not contenders in my opinion. Sacramento, another sideways step. The Raptors, I think they got better. You know, Brandon Ingram, but they are well below us, so we're not worried. The Pistons got Dennis Schroeder. You know, they could make some noise as the 8th seed. But Cleveland got stronger, significantly stronger. Cleveland is the one, right? I don't think Boston didn't do anything, just like us. But Cleveland made some moves. Sandman says it's funny, CT, that Walker Kessler didn't get traded. Yeah, you know, I think summertime, that could be a move, but I do think, yeah, Danny Ainge just continues to price out everyone, right? I mean, look at some of these moves, fam. You know, the Warriors got Mark Williams for a first round pick, but Danny Ainge just trying to charge everybody 2 first round picks for Walker Kessler, fam. So, yeah, I'm not surprised the rest of the league just doesn't deal with that. You know, I think eventually it's going to come to a head. Yeah, Bradley Beal, Felicia, did hold things up. Bradley Beal's that guy that with the no trade clause. I mean, yeah, the CBA is real tough right now to make things happen. But yeah, the Knicks got flexibility, I think. I obviously want to see how things look this postseason, but I would not be against trading OG Anunoby if you're bringing in another bona fide starter, of course. But salary-wise, the Knicks have that salary that is $40 million. That's a max slot. Best believe that. So the Knicks have flexibility. Once they get more picks that they can trade, if Giannis gets disgruntled, Devin Booker, you know, Durant, even someone like, you know, other teams out here get, you know, guys become available. Anthony Edwards. Yeah, the Knicks will be ready to pounce, fam. I think the Knicks will still be flexible right now. We hold on to Mitch for another deadline, and he can get more healthy. He might have more value in the future as well. $14 million. He's got 2 years left, 1 more year left on the deal after this year, and it's a cheap deal as well. That could be an enticing asset for some teams. We could decide to sign and trade Precious in the summer. We could keep him, or we could sign him to an extension. So yeah, a lot of flexibility right now, in my opinion. Maybe the Knicks just want to see how things look. Um, Buzzer says Middleton should have been gone after the championship season. Yeah, he's a walking mash unit. I think good destination with the Wizards because they want to tank, and he can rehabilitate, and get back to playing regular ball. Um, David says I would target Booker. Definitely, I think Phoenix could be all in this season, and then things could definitely get stripped. Things could crumble out there. The foundations, man. I think Kevin Durant might want to team up with Kyrie again. Everyone's laughing at Dallas, but what happens if Dallas turn things around? And yes, they made that crazy move, and sold Luka for cheap, but they might have a bigger plan, Kyrie, AD, and another guy. They might be looking for the win right now. But yeah, they definitely should have got back more for Luka, man. I think they did that out of spite. Like Alan Hahn says, it was a divorce out there, I think. Kind of like the Kristaps one with us. So yeah. Hidalgo, we talked about Chuma Akeke going to Philly. Yeah, it's a 10-day deal. We'll find out if he sticks. We'll see what happens with that. But Torrey Craig, TJ Warren, I'm okay. I think it'll be a good window, a good trade deadline if the Knicks can get another wing in here. I spoke on Delon Wright at the very top of the show. I think worst case scenario, he could steal campaign or Landry Shamet minutes. So I don't think it's a complete failure. I give it a B- for now. He's a guy known as a defensive kind of player. His stats on his career, 1.2 steals per game. Yeah, he's a passing lane demon. He's got a 6'8" wingspan, averages 3 assists and 3 rebounds on the career, 35% shooting from distance. So, hey, if he can hit 1 or 2 shots, that's more than Payne and Shamet right now. And he plays better defense. So, let's see how it plays out. We might still cut him. Next question from Buzzer Beater. Appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and the contribution you made. Salute to you. Keeping the streets buzzing. Buzzer says, is there a Mavs conspiracy to move to Vegas? I've heard some of that stuff going around. I do think that it's definitely attached to the new ownership. This whole Luka trade, to ship him out to the Lakers and try to get Anthony Davis, a household name still, but he's 32 years old. And obviously, the city of Dallas or Texas is still trying to, open up the gambling market as well. I won't be surprised, though, if Vegas gets its own franchise. I don't think that the Mavs are going to get relocated. But who knows what the ownership, want to do, in the NBA. One thing's for sure is the NBA continues to strengthen its ties to Vegas and gambling, gambling companies. Shares V says Fox gets the coach fired, then gets traded away. Doesn't make sense for the management. Yeah, I think with the Kings, I think they have come somewhat more functional. They were dysfunctional for so long, but they tried. They made some win now moves. Traded Halliburton for Sabonis. Tried to pair up Fox and Sabonis, but yeah, ultimately, that's just not enough out west. So they've decided to, I think, take a step back, get some assets for Fox. They got Levine. They got Levine now together with DeRozan. But yeah, it's going to happen, continue to happen with teams. They get close and then they just regress. The Hawks, made some noise for a little bit. Now they're starting to dip. You have to strike while the iron's hot, otherwise you're going to miss up. And that's what I really like where the Knicks sit, because we are built for the now, We might not be like A1 contender right now, but we're built to go for it. But we still have room to improve. We still have maneuvering. We still have depth that we can build with some spots available. And that's not the same as other teams right now. You know, Boston can't make any more moves, man. Their window to win is right now. They have to capitalize. Otherwise, the salaries are going to start to really, you know, hamstring them. And so I do think that Boston might have one more window for this season, maybe one more next season, and then I think the salaries are going to get too costly for that new ownership. For the New York Knicks, we know Dolan is happy to continue to pay, but you know we do have the flexibility. I feel out east. Now Cleveland are going for it, so they're making their all-in move, push their chips in the middle. Don John says, I saw we kept Precious. Yeah, I like that. I like that we kept Precious Achua. I think for his $6 million, trading that and what are you going to get back? I think it's much more worth our while to keep Precious Achua. He plays defense, gives us a little bit of offense, you know, solid combo forward and backup center. And I do think, you know, we're going to rock with Precious Achua now. He'll be a free agent in the summer, and I do think that he plays hard for the city. He likes playing here. I think you know, some great bench lineups now. As we look at some of the bench lineups, guys, we could have Mitch with Precious coming off our bench. You could get Mitch and Cat. Obviously, you could have Huck Porty and Precious as well. And then, yeah, Delon Wright coming in. That gives some defensive combo lineups we could play with Deuce and Delon Wright together. You know, maybe Shamet's spot gets replaced by TJ or Torrey Craig. I would like that a lot. Maybe Pacome Dardier takes a step up. But I do predict we are going to sign a wing, right? I think the New York Knicks have got Mitch as the big man addition. We got Delon Wright as a backcourt addition. And I do think Leon Rose will be looking, to either get a wing in, an offensive-minded wing or a defensive-minded wing. And we'll see how that plays out. Buzzer says, what do you think, what would you like to see Adam Silver do to make this league more competitive? I think the play-in is good. I think, you know, incentivizing the 9th and 10th team to actually go for it, you know, and try to do something, try to win. I think the in-season tournament's been a good addition. I would like to see maybe some more incentive in terms of an extra draft pick, fam. I think the in-season tournament would be a lot more competitive outside of just cash. I think if you could add maybe you give the winner of the in-season tournament the 31st pick, the first pick of the second round. I think that would be a good incentive for organizations to go for it. And then, in terms of the playoffs, I do think that there's some seeding things that you can look at. You know, maybe like giving a team a bye round. You know, if you get a 4th seed or higher, you get to skip around and you get some extra rest. I think, you know, while those other teams have to play an extra round, you know, you get more games, more revenue, while those other top 4 teams get to sit and they get to rest for a couple of weeks. I think that could, you know, you could really see the jockeying for the top seeds really, really go out. Paula says a lot of these teams are not structured properly. Even though they are very good players, the team is not built well. Yeah, you know, teams just trying to sign big names just to sell tickets. You know, it's tough for some of these small market teams. You know, you got to sell tickets still. You know, if you continue to tank, it turns the fans away as well at times. So, yeah, that can be frustrating. I understand. You know, you look at Sacktown, they always need a big name. Fox, they've got Levine now. You know, I think you just need to pick a direction. Some of these teams are just too in between. You either need to go for it if you believe you can win, or you just hit the reset button, fam. Because I tell you which teams are doing smart business right now. Obviously, Oklahoma, Charlotte is starting to accumulate picks. If you can't win, just lose. Because you can turn things around really quick. Look at Detroit, the Rockets now. Look at some of these teams. They're starting to really make noise. I mean, yeah, who would have thought that the Grizzlies and the Rockets would be second and third? Who would have thought that the Kings would be higher than the Suns and the Warriors? The Blazers starting to come up as well. Chauncey Billups starting to get some wins, 5 in a row. The hottest team in the league right now. The Portland Trail Blazers, the hottest team in the league right now, 5 wins straight. So their young talent is starting to click. So yeah, if I own a franchise right now, let's say it's not in a big market, let's say it's in a small market, I'm going to do exactly what Utah and the Pelicans do, the Blazers. I'm going to try to get as much young talent, stack it up, and then go for it after that. But if you're stuck in the middle, yeah, it could be no man's land, purgatory, and that can be tough. But fortunately, that's not where we're at. And the New York Knicks got their starting center back, arguably the starting center, Mitchell Robinson. I think he will be in the mix to get action after the All-Star break. Maybe right towards the end of this month, coming up to a screen near you. I'm excited. And obviously you see a lot of buzz around TJ Warren now that Okeke is signed with Philly. So it could be a case of maybe Okeke's agent asked the Knicks, look, we've got some interest. What do you want to do? And the Knicks made a decision. Maybe they said, look, we want to go with TJ, take the Philadelphia deal. So yeah, I'm not going to get too crazy over losing Okeke yet. I do think Torrey Craig or TJ could be better for us, fam. Yeah, let's see how things play out with Delon Wright, a New York Knick just for now, and we'll see how long that lasts. But hey, if you can give some healthy competition to Campaign and Landry, I'm all for it, right? Healthy competition, because right now we didn't have another backup to push those guys. I know a lot of people were hopeful that Tyler Kolek, Pacome Dardier would push these guys, but it looks like Tibbs has made his decision. He would have played those guys already, and so it's the veterans, Payne, Shamet, with Deuce off our bench, but coming in, Delon Wright, let's see what he can do. Jericho Sims, once again, thanks for your service, 4 years, had a lot of opportunities to showcase. Hopefully he gets minutes in Milwaukee, and obviously full steam ahead with Mitch Mania, Huckamania, and Precious Achua is here to stay. Let's see what happens, fam. I'm buzzing for Saturday night. Got Boston on the slate, and of course we'll be there post-game live to cover it all. Replay squad salute. That's our reaction, man, for the trade deadline. Stay tuned for more moves, but also let this squad rock out for the rest of the year, and Leon Rose will be looking at the summer to see what happens, man. There'll be more movable salaries. There'll be more draft picks that could get traded. Hey, this thing is no means, solidified, right? The NBA's really got shaken up, I think, this trade deadline, fam. And if another star becomes available, I think the Knicks would look into it, right? They've got salaries that they can move, man. Mitch together with OG Anunoby, that gets you more than a max slot. So let's see if Giannis Antetokounmpo starts to get itchy feet. Let's see if Kevin Durant gets itchy feet out here. I know there's frustrations already brewing in Minnesota. You know, Anthony Edwards made a comment that kind of went under the radar, you know, where, you know, he talked about, you know, Tim Connolly, please don't trade me. So a lot of players are thinking about it now. A lot of players are thinking about their future, you know, where can they play, where can they team up, where can they showcase their skills. Right now, as the NBA is crazy, it's been shaken up. I think the DeAndre Hunter move is up there with the Luka kind of fleecing. The Brandon Ingram move to the Raptors was underrated. I do think that the Milwaukee Bucks move for Chris Middleton and Kyle Kuzma was definitely a bad move. Jimmy Butler move was a sideways move. I think the Miami are the losers of the trade deadline. Although they did get off of Jimmy Butler, they do take a step backwards. Sacramento Kings obviously step backwards as well. I think the Clippers did okay. But they've obviously sent Terrence Mann. They've sent Terrence Mann out and getting back Bogdanovich. That's going to be interesting. So yeah, hopefully we get news, man. Torrey Craig, TJ Warren. Let's see what happens out here. But will Tibbs play any of these rookies? Will he give them more of a chance now that we're in the second part of the season, man? I'm looking forward to seeing if that happens as well. But yeah, great to have you all join us. Peace, everyone. Big up. And let's talk soon. Obviously, Saturday night, Knicks will be buzzing.